Before power changes hands, money moves first. This has always been the rule, even when history pretends otherwise. Wars, elections, and political speeches may capture attention, but they rarely determine outcomes on their own. They come later, after the financial groundwork has already been laid. Money is not just a resource, it is a signal. When capital begins to reposition, it reveals where confidence is growing and where it is quietly fading. These movements do not require public announcements, and they do not need approval. They happen through markets, institutions, and agreements that operate beyond daily headlines. Throughout history, the rise and fall of global powers followed this exact sequence. First, capital concentrated in certain regions, then influence expanded outward. Only after that did political authority adjust to the new reality. This is why financial shifts often feel disconnected from political events. They are not reactions, they are preparations. When investors, institutions, and governments move money, they are not guessing. They are responding to incentives, risks, and long-term expectations. And those expectations shape the future long before the public becomes aware of it. The most decisive financial moves are rarely dramatic. They do not look like panic. They look like optimization. Funds are reallocated. Exposure is reduced. New channels are quietly explored. Each action appears technical, rational, temporary. But taken together, they form a clear direction. Power does not wait for consensus. It follows capital. This is why countries that lose financial relevance often maintain political influence for a time, until reality catches up. Their institutions remain, their symbols stay intact. But the foundation that supported them has already shifted. By the time political authority visibly weakens, the financial decision has long been made. Understanding this sequence is essential, because those who focus only on political conflict miss the deeper story unfolding beneath it. The real contest happens long before public confrontation. Money moves first, power follows, and by the time the outcome becomes obvious, the decision is already irreversible. For most of history, power was enforced through visible conflict. Armies crossed borders, cities were occupied, victories were declared publicly. That model no longer defines how global power is exercised. Today, control rarely requires invasion. It requires access to financial systems, access to markets, access to liquidity, credit, and trade infrastructure. Modern power is enforced quietly, through mechanisms that appear administrative rather than aggressive. Restrictions are framed as regulations, pressure is presented as policy, and coercion is disguised as compliance. This is how financial control replaces war. Instead of tanks, there are sanctions. Instead of blockades, there are payment restrictions. Instead of occupation, there is exclusion from financial networks. These tools do not destroy countries overnight. They constrain them slowly. When access is limited, options disappear. Trade becomes expensive. Currency weakens. Economic decisions narrow. And all of this can happen without a single shot being fired. What makes financial control so effective is its legitimacy. It operates within systems that are already trusted and accepted. The rules appear neutral. The enforcement looks procedural. But neutrality is an illusion. Every financial system reflects the interests of those who designed it, and control over that system translates directly into influence over those who depend on it. This is why modern conflicts often unfold without clear beginnings or endings. Pressure is applied incrementally. Thresholds are tested quietly. Escalation happens through spreadsheets, not battle plans. The affected countries rarely announce defeat. They adapt publicly while absorbing pressure privately. Over time, behavior changes, policies adjust, alignment shifts. And by the time the world notices that influence has changed hands, the process is already complete. Financial control does not seek destruction. It seeks compliance. It does not aim to collapse systems. It aims to redirect them. This is the defining characteristic of modern power. Not force imposed from the outside, but dependence managed from within. And once dependence is established, control becomes sustainable, without war, without spectacle, and without global outrage. Capital is often described as neutral, as if money simply flows to where returns are highest, without intention or consequence. That idea is comforting and incomplete. In reality, capital always chooses sides. It chooses stability over uncertainty, access over restriction, influence over isolation. When money moves, it is not making a moral judgment. It is making a strategic one. Capital responds to signals long before those signals become political facts. A shift in regulation, a change in access, a growing dependency. Individually, these signals seem minor. Together, they form a clear message about where power is consolidating and where it is fading. This is why capital rarely waits for crises. It moves in anticipation of them. When confidence begins to weaken in one system, money does not panic. It repositions. Exposure is reduced quietly. New channels are tested discreetly. Long-term commitments are redirected without explanation. From the outside, nothing appears dramatic. Markets continue to function. Institutions remain operational. But beneath that surface, alignment is changing. Capital is not loyal to flags or ideologies. It is loyal to structure. It flows towards systems that offer predictability, enforceability, and long-term control. And it avoids environments where rules feel unstable or access feels conditional. This is how sides are chosen without declarations. By the time governments respond publicly, the financial decision has already been made. Trade follows capital, influence follows trade, and political authority adjusts last. What makes this process so powerful is its invisibility. There is no announcement when capital chooses one side over another. No headline marks the moment alignment shifts. The effects only become visible later, in reduced investment, weaker currencies, and shrinking options. By then, the choice is already locked in. Understanding this is essential to understanding modern global power, because the most important decisions are not made when capital moves loudly. They are made when it moves quietly, choosing sides long before the world realizes a choice was ever made. By the time the world starts debating winners and losers, the outcome has usually been decided. In global power shifts, victory is rarely sudden. It is accumulated quietly, long before results are visible to the public. The nations, institutions, and actors that emerge stronger are not those that react fastest to crises. They are those that position themselves early, often before a crisis was even recognized. This is how winners are chosen. They identify structural changes before they become unavoidable. They adjust exposure before pressure builds. They align with emerging systems while others are still defending the old ones. From the outside, this preparation looks uneventful. There are no dramatic announcements, no public celebrations. Instead, there are small, deliberate moves, agreements signed quietly, reserves reallocated gradually, dependencies reduced without explanation. While others debate intentions, winners focus on positioning. This creates a widening gap. Those who moved early gain flexibility. Those who waited lose options. Over time, this difference becomes decisive. Access becomes easier for some and harder for others. Capital becomes cheaper in certain regions and more expensive elsewhere. Influence concentrates where preparation was strongest. The losing side rarely recognizes defeat immediately. Institutions remain in place. Formal authority continues. But leverage has already shifted. History shows that power does not reward those who defend systems out of loyalty. It rewards those who understand when a system is transitioning. This is why global shifts often feel unfair, because they are not decided at the moment of impact. They are decided long before, when attention was low and resistance was minimal. By the time consequences become visible in daily life, the winners are already operating from a position of strength. They did not win because they were stronger in the moment. They won because they understood the direction of change earlier than everyone else. In global power, timing matters more than force, and those who recognize the shift first do not need to announce victory. The system announces it for them, quietly, over time. At the surface, the modern world appears full of choices. Countries choose alliances, markets choose directions, governments choose policies. But beneath that surface, the range of real options is far narrower than it seems. This is the illusion of choice. In global power dynamics, decisions are often presented as voluntary, when in reality they are constrained by structure. A nation may appear free to choose its path, but that choice exists only within the limits set by access, dependency, and leverage. When financial systems define who can trade, borrow, insure, or settle transactions, choice becomes conditional, not imposed by force, but shaped by consequence. This is how control operates without coercion. No one is ordered to comply. They are simply shown what happens if they do not. Markets respond, credit tightens, access narrows. Over time, alternatives become too costly to pursue. This creates a world where decisions look autonomous, but outcomes are predictable. Governments announce policy shifts as strategic decisions. Corporations describe relocations as business choices. Institutions frame alignment as cooperation. Yet in each case, the underlying drivers are the same. Where capital flows easily, options expand. Where it hesitates, options disappear. This is why power today rarely needs to declare itself. It does not need to force obedience. It only needs to shape incentives. Those operating inside the dominant system experience stability and flexibility. Those outside it face friction, uncertainty, and pressure. Over time, behavior converges, not because of agreement, but because deviation becomes unsustainable. The illusion of choice persists because it is comforting. It allows the system to function without resistance. It preserves the appearance of sovereignty while quietly redefining its limits. Understanding this illusion is not about cynicism. It is about realism. Because recognizing where choice ends and structure begins is essential to understanding modern global power. This is not a world divided by winners and losers alone. It is a world divided by those who recognize constraints early and those who mistake them for freedom. And as global power continues to shift, the most important question will not be who chooses differently. It will be who still has the ability to choose at all. Global power does not collapse in a single moment. It shifts through systems, incentives, and structures that most people never see. Money moves first. Control follows quietly. And choice becomes an illusion long before it disappears completely. By the time headlines start asking who won, the answer is already clear to those who were paying attention early. This is not about predicting the future. It is about understanding the present, before it becomes unavoidable reality. Because the most powerful changes do not announce themselves, they do not ask for permission, and they do not wait for consensus. They simply move. If you want to understand how global power really works before it affects your daily life, subscribe to World Power Explained. Here we don't follow headlines, we explain the forces behind them. And in the next video, we'll break down how specific countries are positioning themselves right now as this shift accelerates, and who is quietly losing ground. Because power doesn't announce itself, it moves quietly,